I guess the most important thing to start this is that you should understand that since 1997, when it became clear to me that we had an emerging gang problem in Brooklyn, I created the first standalone gang unit in the state, and remains the only standalone gang unit. And I put Deanna Rodriguez in charge, who is, if any of you know Deanna, she goes 200 miles an hour. Her mom is having health issues today, and she would be here. But her number two person, Ed Carroll, who's been with the office since '96, but is in gangs since '99, and really is the guy who understood the importance of social media and using it as a way of taking these gangs down. And, you know, from the beginning, I said at the first press conference announcing indictments of gang members that we were not going to let this county turn into Cook County or LA County, where, and it's gotten worse and worse over the years. There are the gang problem for, you can't fix that either, huh? I can just barely do emails. That's why I have Ed Carroll with me. The gang problem in L.A. and Cook County continues, and you know they are known for having gang conventions, if you can imagine. You know, where they meet annually to talk about what they do. And Ray Kelly has had the same commitment, and that's why it's not a great surprise to me to hear that Ray announced at the International Association of Chiefs of Police out in San Diego that he was investing in his department's gang initiative to double the size, and more importantly, to increase reliance on social media, and to recognize just how important that is. Now, before I turn it over to Ed, and you can ask him any question at all about this, because there's probably no more knowledgeable person, maybe in the city, about in this area. We understand that we are never going to eliminate gang activity. It's just not realistic. But we're not going to let it grow to the size of Cook County or LA County. And what we hope to do is every time we have a major takedown, as we did recently with 49 gang members in two very violent gangs who were dominating East New York, one of the things we're looking for is to be able to divert those people into something we call Project Redirect, which was started by Deanna Rodriguez a number of years ago when she came and said to me, I'm getting tired of locking up these young kids. And I said, come up with a program. And Project Redirect has been enormously successful. The problem is getting the resources to expand it. It runs about $27,000 per kid. And each one of these kids who's in the program must plead guilty to a serious felony for which they can send some significant jail time if they flunk out. But at the end of it, we can dismiss that charge, set aside the plea, dismiss that charge, and be satisfied that we have taken a kid out of gang activity and put that child on the road to becoming a productive citizen. When you think about the cost alternatives, that it costs $260,000 to put a kid in a juvenile justice center in this state. There's something very, very wrong with our system. And by the way, that money, that amount grows. When David Patterson commissioned Jeremy Travis, president of John Jay College, to examine juvenile justice, and you know, I look at juvenile justice as an oxymoron, because there's nothing just about that system. And what Patterson's commission concluded, that a significant number of these kids were being physically and mentally abused, and some of them sexually abused, and that the cost at the time was $220, is now risen to $260, and the recidivism rate is 80%. That's compared to an adult recidivism rate of 60%. So what we've got to do, and what Ray Kelly has done, and I applaud his creativity in this area. We have got to do everything we can to contain these gangs and to reduce them. So let me put Ed Carroll at the podium.
I'll just be very brief. As to Commissioner Kelly's program, it's going to be a huge help to the DA's office in combating the loosely based street crews. As you know, we've done at least 3 press conferences this year on cases that were mostly based on social media investigation through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and social media sites like that. And having more officers and more resources is going to only help us to go after more and more crews. Obviously, the more violent ones are going to take precedence. And as Mr. Hynes said, it's about identifying who are the most violent ones, so those ones can be incarcerated, and who are the ones that, you know, are sort of hangers-on that we can divert through education programs, through Project Redirect and things of that nature, to get them out of the gang lifestyle. Again, it's about public safety as a whole, not just locking people up. So I'll take any questions if anyone has any. Well, I think if you look at Commissioner Kelly's speech from earlier today, he mentioned that it's about 30% of the violence is going to be attributed to these street crews. What we've seen in the street crew violence that we've been dealing with from the first takedown this year, which was Hood Star and Wave Gang, that was a shooting war going on in Brownsville. Multiple shootings, multiple people shot, innocent bystanders shot, and the VCG Rockstar one, there are 3 homicides attached to that as well. So it's directly related to the violence.
In the most recent ComStat report, we were the lowest of the counties in shooting victims and in shooting incidents. Last year, for the first time since 1963, we had less than 200 murders in Brooklyn. This morning, I get a morning report on murders. This morning, we have 38 fewer murders than last year.
Well, I think going forward, I think having more eyes and ears out there is going to give the ability to, if they're posting on Facebook about you know, a shooting that happened 2 days ago, if there's going to be retaliatory action and the kids are talking about it, they're going to be plugged in and clued in to where it's going to happen, and that could be a shooting prevented, and somebody stopped and a gun recovered, and then, you know, we'll go forward that way. So it's definitely not going to hurt increasing the numbers and increasing the focus on social media. You know, as I tell people all the time, you can keep the gangs out of schools, you can keep the gangs out of your house, but through the computer, through social media, they come right in through the wires, right into your kid's bedroom, right into, you know, a classroom library if you don't have a filter on that school computer. So they can get in using social media now, where, you know, the physical barrier, the doorway to the school or the building or the apartment would keep them out.
All right, thank you very much, everybody.